Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox, along with my co-host, Clem, and we are back for another free swim, nerd news, movie news edition of the podcast this week. I had Jared on the podcast a little earlier this week, a little from the top rope with him, throwback with Carabas. We talked Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, CM Punk injury, all that stuff. But now I'm back with Clem to talk nerd news, movie news, all that jazz.
So great to hear The Rocket back on the network yet again. I love always hearing his takes to go along with your takes, where you guys are kind of like me and you with the food takes, sometimes simpatico and sometimes, head to head choking each other out. So, and the wrestling heat is real. Wrestling fan heat is as real as it gets. So I found out, surprisingly, I texted you actually is how I found out. I go, wait, do I have access to the Royal Rumble tonight because I paid for a stupid NFL playoff game, a week earlier? And you're like, oh, buddy, you have that? Because I know I have the old archives. I've already watched as much. I watched, I think, the 1991 Royal Rumble at some point. And you're like, buddy, you got it. So it was nice to be able to tune into a current live wrestling event and actually see what it looks like in 2024 pay-per-view style. And not only that, the Clem kids watched.
Oh, yeah? Did they enjoy it?
So Sienna, I happened to tune in during the Women's Royal Rumble. Yep. Sienna was like, oh shit, I didn't realize there's this many women in wrestling. So she was loving it. She's always, whenever she sees girls in a sport or, field video games or something, and there's a lot of girls, she just loves it that she feels like she could do that. AJ liked it, had to go to bed though, because it started later, obviously. And my wife said he was in bed screaming, "It's not fair. I'm missing the Royal Rumble right now." A word he had never heard in his life. It was the most important thing. So I think we have a fan. I never even ended up watching the Rumble though, because I kept asking him every morning, "Dude, you want to go watch the Royal Rumble with me now?" And he kept saying later, Dad, I have, YouTube, Among Us, every single thing. Yeah. The reason that traditional media is dying is this future generation is just going to watch whatever little segmented thing they love. So I did hear, however, I think we got the old, oh, this is going to be awesome ending. And I think it kind of just,
it wasn't great. I liked the end, the actual ending. I liked Cody Rhodes winning the Rumble.
It's your boy.
The Rumble itself didn't have any surprises from the Attitude Era, no legends returning. That's one of the appeals of the Rumble. That's one of the things you invite people over to be anything could happen. Didn't really have that anything can happen vibe. But like you said, me and Jared do get a bit contentious on the podcast. It took 45 seconds for us to get into our first argument. Literally 45 seconds into the episode, we're arguing. So we hit the ground running. If you're a wrestling fan, I think it's worth checking out. It's on the pod feed. It's on Rumble. It's on YouTube, anywhere where you could find it.
I feel like if it was me and you hadn't done a show for a while, and then our first show together was an old Avengers recap, it would just be Tony and Cap would just come up and say, "That motherfucker knew he killed his parents. He didn't say a thing."
Moving on from that, though, I saw some tweets from you that said you caught up on True Detective finally, and I believe you said it's going to have to be a daytime show for you the rest of the season.
Yep, straight daytime watches. I personally love watching things as soon as they air. I'm on old traditionals like that. You can hop on Twitter or whatever your social media is and kind of just get lost in the jokes, the memes, and you have to kind of search them out now. I think everyone is so segmented. Yeah, too goddamn creepy. We'll keep this spoiler free for people that haven't caught up or want to watch in the future. There is some creepy, wacky, weird ass shit in this show, and I'm realizing I wasn't always this way. But as I get older, whatever I watch before bed does kind of leak into my dreams. And if I don't have a nightmare or a dream, I may not remember it in the morning. But I just have a pit in my stomach based on what I watch. I'm watching Ozark now, and I realize my sleeps have not been as sound because there is some. It's essentially I consider it Missouri Breaking Bad. It's the same kind of shit. You're leveling up every season against a different group of just fucked up people. It kind of just makes you feel bad about life. But this True Detective is almost in a whole other thing where it's there's some weird shit going on and it's just creeping me the hell out. But I like it. I do like it. What about you?
I like it. I don't think it's the best show on TV. I'm not so hooked every week, but I'm hooked enough to come back every week, and I'm enjoying it every week. Frankie Borelli called it the worst show he's ever seen on television. I saw Captain Cons, and the replies was I agreed Jodie Foster forgot how to act. That I feel like we're watching a different show than them because it's not season one. We're not even near the season one level, but it's pretty enjoyable. I thought. Like, I like the horror vibes. I like the environment, the constant blackout in Alaska. It's like a cool place for a show, a true detective style show, and it's a slow burn. You got to know what you're signing up for.
First of all, I'm gonna make a pledge here, at least from my end of the podcast. A pledge that the basement is officially a Captain Khan's take free zone. I don't need to hear Captain Khan's takes about anything. I don't need to see him.
All right, fair enough. He's banned. Yeah, takes you banned. Yeah,
he's banned. I don't need to hear his shit. Frankie Borelli, actually, that kind of is disappointing to me because I do hold Frankie's opinions in higher context. Khan's isn't really saying much. I do hold them in some esteem though. But whatever. Listen, based when I said it was a daytime viewing, the replies I got, a lot of them were like, they understood what I was saying. It's like, it's a creepy ass show. A few were like, oh, I hate this season, this and that. So clearly not beloved, but I think it's actually like, it's all right. It looks nice. And I feel like there is good acting in the show too. So it's like, and
I also feel like we're 3 episodes in now. They haven't really done anything or taken any like wild swings or chances that I could see being like polarizing. Like maybe there's a little bit of a supernatural feel of it, and we might be going supernatural with this, but like, I don't care. It's True Detective. You know, the first season didn't go in that direction, but it could have. So I don't know. Calling it the worst show ever. I was like, Frankie Borelli, what the fuck?
Francis Borelli. You have to go. What's his middle name? You know his middle name?
No, I don't.
Francis Aloysius Borelli. Francis Eugene Borelli. Your mouth. Get your mouth. Shut your mouth. That's the thing. Again, keep it spoiler free. The supernatural thing, kind of in the first season, it plays a role. It then got all our heads really cooking, the Redditization of it all, and then we ended up creating a better show in our heads or online than we actually got presented to us. But even in that finale, the season finale, there is like, oh, there's some weird supernatural shit going on. I feel like we're going to get the same twist here. This is my recommendation to people that, I mean, if you love it, you do it. And if you're kind of like on the fence or you like it, but you're not like in love with it, kind of like, it sounds like me and Robbie, I'm just going to go on Reddit now. And I will read the theories on True Detective. Because it's like that first
I've been reading them.
You've been reading them?
I'm balls deep in the theories of True Detective season 4 with our guy Vibs. After the season's over, we might have to do a podcast with Vibs talking True Detective because both of us are like talking theories every day. We're talking, oh, this guy's father from this, and this could connect to this from season 1. And there's a lot of stuff that is interesting. There's a lot of true stories that they might actually be like fictionalizing here with water supplies and tainted stuff and mines and stuff. So we might have to get Vibs on if people are interested in a like season recap. I think that'd be fun.
Vibs has the perfect like demeanor, face, just like aura for like a True Detective conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. I could just see him.
He could have the cork board out, you know, like Pepe Sylvia and Always Sunny.
Or in the morning, he's like connecting dots between frozen limbs and some dude's trailer that was left behind. Our boy super producer BC was texting me. He's like, so have you caught up yet? And I'm like, yeah, Brendan's just looking at it because Brendan was the OG for this stuff with the Redditization. So I've been like, I just rejoined it for the first time since whenever the first season was. And it's a good community. It's active. It's a good Reddit, you know, that keeps you going. So I will say that I think will make the show better for me. And if it flops, it won't be like, because we thought we were getting something special with True Detective season. Yeah. We're like, man, this is going to be the start of something great because HBO is so good. Also, shout out to my boy, Kenny Powers' brother, Dustin. I just love that he's in this season. I don't know that actor. I saw he's doing a commercial that's being played constantly during football season. He's in True Detective. I just like that dude. I think because I like the character so much in Eastbound and Down. He just dealt with all Kenny's bullshit. So I love that dude. I think he's awesome. I'm sure Captain Khan's hates him, though.
So check out True Detective season 4 if you're interested. And then we've got some comic book nerd news here. The first of which is a quote from Matthew Vaughn, director from X-Men First Class, Kingsman, the new movie Argyle that he's promoting looks pretty good. He says, the few snippets that I know about Deadpool versus Wolverine or Wolverine versus Deadpool, I'm sure that argument between Ryan and Hugh is taking place as we speak, are unbelievable. That's going to be the jolt. The Marvel Universe is about to have a jolt of them, and it's going to bring that body back to life. I think Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are about to save the whole Marvel universe. And he's got no reason to say this. He's not attached to this movie in any way. I'm sure he's friends with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, the way he's talking.
Yep.
But he just says, I'm a genuine fan of the X-Men. All I want is for these movies to be as good as they should be. So him saying that, kind of putting his name on it, kind of signing off on it, just from stuff he's heard, gives me hope. I said to you right away, yes, I get nervous when I hear stuff like this because we heard like Quantumania is going to be the greatest multiversal war film to ever fucking hit cinemas. It
bigger than
that.
Civil War, Bob. As big of impact on the MCU as Civil War.
But that was from like a Marvel producer. This guy is not, he's not working for Marvel. At least, you know, from what we know, he might have a future project and maybe he's trying to like butter him up or something. But I think this is genuine and it's making me pretty excited. Like you said, you're ready to just buy into the hype here, right?
Yeah, I'm going in 2 feet. I see the quote and my brain triggers. This is a thing it instantly does with basically all internet rumors now, especially MCU rumors. It triggers like the safety and it's like, dude, don't do it. Don't fall into this trap and get yourself all. I'm like JoJo the little Indian boy, right? Tommy boy, just getting all excited about stuff. I was gonna like do that, and then I'm like, well, what's the point? It's the only MCU movie this year. I'm just gonna be like, well, maybe it's good. And then if it's awesome, I'll be like, oh wow, that was great. And then there's no more movies. Fuck it. Just fucking have fun. God knows how long we'll even be on this earth anymore. And let's just fucking hop in 2 feet. Like you said, this guy has skins on the wall. I don't know. Again, I don't know what producers do. I think they just give money to the movie, or I have to ask Jeff D. Lowe. We just have to sit down and be like, Jeff, what do producers do? What do directors do? Executive. I feel like executive producers, that's just you negotiate something just to get your name and maybe a couple bucks on the film. I have to do a whole, but like unnamed producer, that means nothing. I think I even wrote on the blog, like, I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. This Quantumania quote, throw it out. This guy has, not only does he have his name out there, he's directed X-Men movies. He kind of like rebooted the X-Men or whatever you want to call that. Did it great. We both love First Class, right? Spoiler for our
I think one of the best X-Men movies out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it like kind of restarted that new universe. So, and if Deadpool kind of does that and gets this, let's be honest, they've kind of bungled the multiversal saga in a lot of ways so far. I'd say Loki did it best, right? Is that
yeah.
Yeah. So just because of that, I'm just gonna have hype, get overhyped. This is gonna be the greatest movie ever. I'd love to see Wolverine versus Deadpool, and then like one of them crosses it off, and then puts Deadpool versus Wolverine. And you know, Wolverine crosses it off with his claws. Then it writes Wolverine versus, you know, just go back and forth. But like, and man, can you imagine? Like, let's start building a pipe right now, Bob. What X-Men are we gonna see in it? And what universe are we going to get? Maybe some cartoon X-Men popping in. We have multiverses. We could go a million different ways. And Ryan Reynolds was like referencing shit and giving like winks and nods to the audience before he had the entire Marvel catalog at his disposal and like a multiversal saga. So there's just so many ways it can go. He has all the action figures. I'm excited what he's going to see. It's going to be fucking awesome. Boom! We're hyped up in the basement again, boys.
Don't forget Taylor Swift too. She might be in this thing.
Taylor Swift's gonna be in it. The biggest star.
Gonna make $2 billion.
I swear to God, I could already see like people are gonna leave the theaters being like, I can't believe Taylor Swift was in that movie.
She's taking attention away from Deadpool, like she's taking away from my football.
44 seconds. Did you see that blog I wrote? 44 seconds she was on screen
in a 3-hour game. People are fucking crazy.
People are nuts, man. We live in the wildest world. But Deadpool's going to save the universe in the MCU, so all is good now.
Yeah, and we will get back to our X-Men rewatch, by the way. X-Men The Last Stand will be next for us. We'll definitely do that at some point soon because I want to get to the good movies too. You know, I think 3 is pretty underrated, but like I want to get to First Class and Days of Future Past and Logan and shit like that.
I want to see 3 through a 2024 set of eyes because I remember when I saw it, I was like, I liked it. It was all right. And this was the first time I ever met someone who was at work. He was like, oh, you like that movie? And it was like a comic book guide. And I was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to like that. So I want to know if I was just straight up fanboy that I, you know, everything through rose-colored glasses, or if like it wasn't so bad and it was just a product of like whatever the internet hate monger machine was just getting started back then.
Maybe we'll do that next week. You want to do X3 next week?
All right, we're doing it. Put it on the calendar. X3 next week. I'm going to Vegas for the Super Bowl, so we'll have to figure out a time to watch it, but that's fine. We have the week with you know, there's no football going on Sunday, so maybe we'll just bang it out then. 1 o'clock kickoff time. You have to start watching X-Men 3 when football would have been going on, or at least 3 o'clock if it's playoff schedule we're going with here. And then we'll have it next week, X3. Let's get rolling. Because let's be honest, I feel like every week we're going to just be doing these recap shows for the foreseeable future until what's the first thing we get? The Boys?
Might be The Boys. Yeah, I don't even know. Invincible's coming back in March, right? So we could talk about that a little bit, but we're not going to do like full episode breakdowns on only that.
The True Detective, Vibbs crazy conspiracy theory from an actual basement show. That's on this docket as well.
In that same Matthew Vaughn interview, I think he was asked about what character he would like to do if he went over into the DC universe. And he said Red Sun was one of the most clever comics I'd ever read. He said, could you imagine remaking Red Sun with Henry Cavill? That would be an interesting movie. Red Sun, if you're not aware, is a Superman story from 2003. I think it was written by Mark Miller. And it focuses on Elseworlds what if story, where it's what if Superman landed in Soviet Russia instead of Kansas. So he starts working for Soviet Russia, straight up working for Stalin. Like Stalin's a character in the book. I think Lois Lane is married to Lex Luthor, and she reveals to him that Stalin's a bad guy. And he's like, oh shit, I didn't know Stalin's a bad guy. So, it's a good Elseworld story. Batman is also Russian in the movie. He wears a fucking Russian hat over his cowl that looks so badass. It's awesome. They made a good animated version of it. Do I think they would ever bring Henry Cavill back as Superman? No, just because I think the way everything went down, they don't want to muddy the waters in people's eyes, and the new guy kind of looks like Henry Cavill. It might confuse the shit out of people, but they are doing Elseworld stories. So I guess there's a chance, and it is a great comic. So I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I'm looking right now at the Batman with the hat on just to see what he looks like. That's awesome. I love that. Right? And it's a cartoon, it looks like. So it's a comic and it's in the cartoons.
Yeah, they did an animated version of it, which was pretty good.
I gotta I'm gonna have to watch it after we're done and just hear the accents. I want to hear the Russian accents on these guys. Oh man, that's incredible. So this is tough. I'm gonna say this. All right. So I have two takes on this. One, the take of someone that really doesn't have that much knowledge of Henry Cavill's Batman, because I didn't watch a lot of the stuff he was in. Just let it die. Please, for the love of God, let it die, guys. If he was the greatest Superman ever, you could see it. But just please, because then it's all right, let's get Zack Snyder back here.
What else are we going to restore? Yeah.
If
you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Exactly. As the guy that hasn't seen it, though, for the people that love it, go to town. Wish I know when our kids are doing My Mom's Basement here, 20 years or 30 years from now together on whatever the fuck computers we have then. They'll be like, Henry Cavill, I'm hearing he's going to be the elderly Superman in the DCU. I know this is never going to go away. So it's whatever. Let them have their fun.
Yeah.
And I honestly do. I hope they get something. They get their back scratched some way along. If he does a voice on a movie or a video game, I honestly hope that happens. I just that is a Pandora's box you do not want to open.
And I liked him as Superman. I really did, but his time is over. Let's get David Cornsweet in there. I'm excited for the new version. And speaking of Kryptonians, Millie Alcock, Rhaenyra Targaryen herself, has been officially cast as Supergirl. James Gunn said she was pretty much his first choice. He said he was watching House of the Dragon over a year ago and thought she might have the edge, grace, and authenticity that they needed for Kara Zor-El. Now, we don't know if she's going to be in Superman Legacy, but the casting timing kind of makes me think she will make a cameo there, and then they'll probably start shooting Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is based on the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, a very recent comic book, I think 2022 maybe, but it's written by Tom King, and it focuses on a very dark origin for Supergirl. She was older when Krypton exploded. She was 14 and she was on a ship overlooking the planet. So she just watched everyone she knew and loved die over the course of months. People were just dying and dying and dying. She eventually goes to this random planet on the edge of the universe, basically to celebrate her 21st birthday, get away from some trauma. And she meets an alien girl whose father was murdered. And then she swears to help her get revenge. So it's kind of like Supergirl meets John Wick. It's also on a planet with a red sun, not SON like the Russian thing, but S-U-N. And so her powers are mostly useless in this story. I'm sure she'll get her powers by the end of it and everything, and we'll get to see her do laser eyes and fly around and all that fun stuff. But I'm excited for it. This is who I think both of us wanted as Supergirl the second we heard that she was up for the role. And I wrote in the blog, I said, we got to see her fight with her words in House of the Dragon and also fight with urges of incest and whatnot. But now we'll get to see her fight with her fists.
I don't even remember what our take was last episode when we were, because it was her and the other girl. And I was like, I don't really know the other girl. Which one looks more like Supergirl? Blah, blah, blah. Millie Alcock. Oh, man, I'm getting choked up here. Just thinking. Millie Alcock, I'd like to welcome you to a fixture of the basement now. It was a very short time in House of the Dragon, but I mean, those are some of the most fun shows I've ever done, is those live recaps. And obviously, unless we get a flashback or an error, we probably won't be seeing her again. But I'm happy she kind of like, that's why even if you only have a few episodes, I mean, you're not going to turn down a Game of Thrones show, but you get that fucking that tape out there. You never know what's going to happen. And now James Gunn casts you for fucking Supergirl in a new universe. Man, that is all. And I was like, I know I wrote something about Millie Alcock back in the day. And my headline from a year ago, Jesus, this was only a year ago. Oh my gosh, this is my brain. Millie Alcock appearing to be on a different planet while accepting her Golden Globe for House of the Dragon is another reason why Rhaenyra Targaryen is the true queen of the Seven Kingdoms. And I remember that. Wait, like Golden Globes wasted too. Like she's another level. Like you're used to like everyone feeling toasty at the Golden Globes. She's giggling, her eyes are like rolling a little bit. She's all snuggled up on someone. I'm very happy she's going to be in our life. Those are the kind of people you want in superhero movies. People that are, for sure. You know, I like if they know the material, but I also like if they are a little fun and just not a bunch of pretentious snobs who may have like a vagina candle themselves marketed out there. Just hypothetically speaking.
Just random. Yeah, that's just a total random scenario. Yeah.
See, we're
speaking of, by the way, I've been still reading that Marvel book, and the stuff about that first Iron Man movie. I'm still only at the first Iron Man movie. I'm like 80 or 90 pages in. It is awesome. Everything about it. The rise and fall of the MCU, the reign of the MCU. Look it up. Get that book if you're interested in any behind the scenes stuff. It's couldn't recommend it enough. More comic book news. Dakota Johnson doesn't really have any idea if Madam Web is going to be any good. This quote was unbelievable. She said, I've never really done a movie where you're on a blue screen and there's fake explosions going off and someone just yells explosion and you have to act like there's an explosion. That to me was absolutely psychotic. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be good at all. I hope that I did an okay job. She said that to Variety just days after kind of making fun of Madam Web on SNL, which is making everyone think that check cashed. And she's like, all right, I'll be honest about the movie now. This looks like a piece of shit. And it, from every indication, it just looks so bad. The suits look so bad, as we talked about. The ocean spray leak. The rumors about them wanting to bring Andrew Garfield in and then realizing they fucked the timeline so bad they couldn't. That's a bad sign. Uncle Ben getting with great power comes great responsibility from a fortune cookie. What are we talking about here? Everything I hear about this movie makes me less and less hopeful. And I stand by saying I think this could be one of the biggest flops in comic book movie history. I don't know who the audience is. I don't know anyone that's interested in seeing this. And I'm friends with a lot of nerdy fucking people. Everyone's like, yeah, we're not going to waste our time with Madam Web.
When they released the trailer for Madam Web, and they have the one person on the planet of 8+ billion people that when she is in a trailer, everyone is going to watch it.
Yep.
And they just, Sydney Sweeney just like, was like, was she really like, come on. Even if you're just showing a clip of like her in Euphoria, be like, oh yeah, remember her? This is what she looks like. And then you just throw it to the rest of your story. You would have gotten, I think Kareem or someone blogged about it. It was like, Sydney Sweeney, I guess, was in there, but like, we want Sydney Sweeney. Once I saw that, I was like, the people running this do not have control of the car. And I have a take that I was thinking of actually when I saw the Deadpool news come out in that story about it being the savior of the MCU. I'm going to call it now, and I'm trying to think of the fairest way to put it. Deadpool 3's audience Rotten Tomato score, which I think is a pretty good indicator for a good movie. I don't listen to the critics and stuff, especially for comic movies. Will be higher than the 3 Sony Marvel movies combined of 2020, which is Madam Web, Venom 3, and Kraven the Hunter. So I'm calling
Yeah.
it now. It's on the books February 2nd, 9:27 a.m. Eastern time.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Groundhog saw his did not see his shadow. Spring is coming, and so is Deadpool for that ass.
There we go. I love that. That's kind of the end of the comic book news this week, but we still have some nerdy movie news. The first of which is a new trailer for Ghostbusters. I want to say Afterlife, but it's not Afterlife. It's Frozen Empire, I think. This the sequel to Afterlife. And now we're going back to New York. Everything's freezing over. It's the second trailer we've got. We got a little more Bill Murray in this one. He had a nice line about, tall, dark, and horny, 3 o'clock, and it's got fucking horns. Very Bill Murray line. We got a Bustin' Makes Me Feel Good joke from Paul Rudd. That was great. And I think the thing everyone was most excited about from this trailer was seeing old Dickless back. William Atherton back as Walter Peck, still working that same government job. And I love it. I tweeted, I know people roll their eyes at the fan service nostalgia porn movies at this point. I don't. I like the nostalgia movie still. I like the fun time at the movies type of like experience. And that's what this looks like to me.
Yeah. Wait, listen. They took Ghostbusters different directions. It did not work that way. So let's just once Ivan Reitman's son took over the franchise, I say it's in the family, so it's still technically the same franchise. And at that point, you might as well just do fan service. As long as it's not like wedged in and you're just hammering it in. I take this back to another one of my beloved movie franchise, because Ghostbusters was my favorite movie as a kid. Number one by far. Bought AJ Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for Christmas, the one that I had as a kid, just so that I had that back in my life because I love it that much. Die Hard, like they've kind of just fucked up the cinematic universe of Die Hard, because it's like, it's Lucy McLean and you meet his son and this and that, and it's like that just feels gross. Walter Peck in the Ghostbusters cinematic universe would spend every waking hour trying to ruin those guys' lives because he has no dick. He's a dickless motherfucker. And I was happy. And I hate that guy more than anyone in the world. But that guy played his role so good. I actually have a take about this. I believe that he is responsible for a lot of the, what's the word? Like the ginger hatred that has come out over the years, is because that guy played such a good role as such an asshole in the 80s, and all of us grew up watching and being like, fuck that guy. And I do think like there's not a lot of redheaded people around. It's like a lower like percentage wise, there's like a minority, right? And there's people just are like, and they just associate gingers with Walter Peck. And I truly believe that's the case. I'm not saying people with red hair don't have dicks. I'm not saying that, but there's something in there that kind of like clicks. I think that might be true, because it's not right. Our redheaded brothers and sisters out there have an unfair, they talked about it on the dog walk the other day when they had the redheaded draft. So, I mean, Scott Tenorman, fuck that guy. He's kind of giving them like a new generation a bad name as well. So I love seeing it. The Bustin' Makes Me Feel Good line. Do you think at one point someone was like, should we not put this in? Or did people not think that was going to like just become like,
I don't know.
What?
It is like surprised, because the rest of the trailer has that family movie vibe, but like Ghostbusters has a lot of jokes that aren't necessarily fit for a family movie, the original, and bringing those in would be great. I love, a little bit of dark humor every now and then, a little bit of sex jokes in your Ghostbusters movie. There's a couple in the original.
Yeah, exactly. Venkman was a goddamn horn dog. That was the whole thing with the blonde with the cards, and then obviously he's trying to sleep with Dana as she's levitating. The fact he actually was like, nope, there's a demon in there. I'm not gonna like. It was actually, I was very proud of him. He said, "Date sir, go the fuck home."
Restraint,
and he did. Yes, restraint. Very good. But he's a goddamn horn dog. That's what makes Ghostbusters so good. Is it's like it's a meal you could like feed your kids or whatever, but you can throw a little bit of spices on there. It's a little spicy for the adults and for stuff that goes pretty much over the kids' heads. And then you see it as you're older, like, oh shit, there was some stuff going on there.
And that's why it holds up so well too, probably. You look back and you pick up on things you didn't see the first time.
I watched it somewhat recently, and I was like, man, still does the job. I'm excited to see it.
Oh, and Slimer's back. We forgot to mention Slimer's back. That's a big part of the trailer that we didn't talk about.
I saw the food there. I'm like, oh, tell me that green little bastard's in there. And again, hammering you over the head with fan service. If I tell you after this movie, the series is done forever due to varying Hollywood circumstances, you're like, man, I'm happy we got those last few like pangs in before it all ended. So I'm personally happy. I would have bet my life it was called Afterlife because I forgot that was the last one. And I will say the first trailer, did not look great. This one, they shoved all the Ghostbuster references in your face, so I appreciated it.
This quote I thought was interesting from our boy George R.R. Martin. While he was not writing the final Game of Thrones book, he was doing an interview with some media site, and he spoke out about toxic fans. He said, "Toxicity is growing. It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films, having spirited debates with fans who saw things differently, but it is no longer enough to say, I didn't like this book or this film, and here's why. People would rather talk about the stuff they hate rather than the stuff they love, and delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped." I thought this was interesting because he's kind of gone through some toxic shit with the last season of Game of Thrones, with people being like, still like, what the fuck, George, finish the book. And he's like, it's 1,000 pages. I don't know how to finish the book. I think he's right. Not in the basement. The basement boys and girls are the best. They're not toxic fans at all.
We get called out for being too nice half the time.
Yeah. I definitely think there was a change maybe around The Last Jedi, which I love, but The Last Jedi was almost the Franz Ferdinand of this whole thing, where it's like, that's when I remember it starting to get real bad and real toxic. And it's not like, if you didn't like The Last Jedi, you're toxic. There's a ton of people that I love that don't like The Last Jedi and have very valid reasons for it. But then there's also definitely a side of the fandom that took that as the catalyst for like, and here's how Hollywood's ruining the next thing. So I thought that was interesting that George R.R. Martin is speaking out about it. I don't know if it'll ever go back to being fun to talk about stuff like this again. Maybe we need a new social media platform. Maybe it's done on Twitter, X, and Instagram, and it's too toxic there. I don't know what the answer is.
I'm going to throw on my George R.R. Martin hat for this take here.
Oh, you got it ready to go.
Got it ready to go. I have my little dress-up bin right next. I got my beard, which is too itchy, so I'm not going to throw that on right now, and my suspenders. George, buddy, welcome to the internet in 2024. Listen, I remember those days, and people talk about like the Twitter in talk about Twitter in 2013, 14 with like rose-colored glasses. No, trust me, that shit was awesome. It was so much fun. It was a lot of people who did not take themselves seriously. It was a fucking party, man. We were all just making jokes, having fun, living life. And something did change fundamentally along the way. I like to think humanity changed for the worse. Personally, it's not just an internet thing. But, buddy, like, trust me, you look at my Twitter usage from then to now, and it is just taken ever since, I'd say 2021, I was like, you know, what am I just doing? This is just poison I'm just putting into my brain every day. It is what it is. I will say, to your point, Last Jedi definitely might have opened a big door for that. And then people were like, oh shit, my Last Jedi takes are getting so much love because I'm panning a movie. I can then pan more stuff. However, ironically enough, George R. R. Martin is part of a case study where it's like, and it's not even his fault. It was the Benioff and Weiss. We've gone through this a million times. The way Game of Thrones ended, right? Absolutely horrible. People will still to this day just be like, I can't believe they fucked that up. But at the same time, we had Endgame come out, which was so beloved and awesome, and we want to love stuff, and I will still use Thanos memes to this day. I love that thing. I actually just watched the Portal scene. It came to my head the other day. I was like, I gotta watch that. It just hits so fucking hard. And it's like, give us good stuff, people are gonna love it. Give us bad stuff, we're gonna hate it. The hate might be loud, and you're gonna remember the one bad comment over the 10 good ones. We know that more than anybody working at Barstool, right? You'll have 100 tweets and you have like one mean one. That sticks with you. It's just the way it is. But we're just give us good stuff, man. House of the Dragon was so much fun to cover because it was good the whole way. But yeah, man, the internet's like, people have said it before, like everyone who was on Twitter back in the day when it was pretty carefree, let's just find the next Twitter and just kind of like go there before all the people with all their political takes and hardo shit, they come over. We have to just find another spaceship to be on for a little while because that shit was magical. And also, George, like you kind of fucked it up. Write the books and we'd be good. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I think the toxicity among fans is also going to have a bad effect in dissuading very creative directors and writers from wanting to hop into these franchises. Like, I think some people might be like, I don't want to do a fucking Game of Thrones or Star Wars project because I want to take it in a new direction. And that might not be welcome among the fans. So I hope it's not. I hope some people will break through on that, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to follow over the next like 5-10 years, the way franchises are going, the way we've been talking about it with, DC, Marvel, Star Wars. Where are all these places going to be in 10 years? I don't know.
I'm with you on that too. I think you get worried that either the creative person in charge, the director, the writer, or the studio will be like, no, instead of like throwing the bomb here, let's just try to get the first down, you know, and you don't want them to be safe. But like, I think the good people, they'll know they're good, they'll trust themselves. And I'm not even gonna, there's people who think The Last Jedi was great. I personally did not.
Some people.
We're not going to go into that, Bob. That's you and Carabas talking about Roman Reigns
Yeah.
and Cody Rhodes all over again. Not going to do that. But I truly believe, like, I'm hoping that, like, as much the studio doesn't fuck shit up along the way as everything else, because I do think when things are great, they fucking hit so goddamn good. Like, we talked about the MCU. I'm just like being put to sleep, bored to tears during some of the shit we've had to deal with lately, and I feel like those are just kind of running into the line, first down, second down, just handing the ball off. What are we doing right now?
And then I've got just 5 kind of quick hitter items that aren't necessarily nerd news, but they're movie news that I thought was worth bringing up. The first of which, there's a new Guy Ritchie movie that's coming out this year. I don't know if there's a release date on it yet because the trailer just said coming soon. It's called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It's got Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, who is the Reacher guy, Henry Golding, Barstool guy. And it's a fictionalized version of Operation Postmaster. So it is a real story, a World War II era story that they're telling here. But if you watch the trailer, you could tell it's very fictionalized. The first thing I said when I watched it, I said, this looks like Suicide Squad meets Inglourious Bastards. They use Another One Bites the Dust so well in the trailer. I love a good needle drop in a trailer like that. And I love Guy Ritchie comedy action movies. You put Henry Cavill in the lead and you tell me he's mowing down Nazis the entire movie. I'm so there. I said this shot up my board of most anticipated movies of the year. Are you a Guy Ritchie guy?
I don't think so. I don't know enough about his, like, I don't know what films he dated Madonna, right, for a while. I don't know if did he have the kid? Yeah. Did he have the kid with Madonna? Was that Guy Ritchie's kid?
I don't know. I don't know if it's his kid.
I'm pretty sure.
Are you Snatch guy? Well, that came out not the way I intended it.
Man, you're lucky we don't have like big time producers who would just do like, you know, we get sound drops at the
You a Snatch guy, unreal.
You a Snatch guy.
Have you seen that movie though?
I watched like 5 minutes of it. I've always heard good things. That and Train Spotting I haven't seen. Those are two of like those. Is that a similar kind of the poster gave me a similar vibes, so I never saw either of them.
Different.
But I feel
different, yeah.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He did that as well. That's another one I haven't seen that I've always heard about. I'm just looking at his. The
Gentleman was awesome. Recent one from him.
Yeah, I definitely have not seen any of his stuff, but I've known the name. I've kind of like, I guess I've like avoided Guy Ritchie movies mistakenly.
Not a Snatch guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a Snatch guy. You sent me the trailer and I was like, what is this? All right, let's see. And then we're just mowing down Nazis and machine guns. Like, we're in The Basement Boys. Boom, stamp of approval. You give us a trailer with Nazis getting mowed down. Boom, Basement Boy stamp of approval.
I'm always there. You give me Nazis getting killed, I'm there for your movie. It's the biggest cheat code movies can give, where you're like, well, they're Nazis. And I'm like, well, I need to see them die then. Like, it's the best in terms of just like people nowadays being like, want to just make a movie where we kill 1,000 Nazis? And they're like, yep. $100 million. Here you go, Guy Ritchie.
I'm trying to think like that would be the easiest way. And if they're like, how are we gonna make this villain character good? Oh, just have him kill a bunch of Nazis, and that
like
would
red
work.
Band on his arm, swastika. It's like, sign him up. Red Skull. Yeah, he's part of Hydra now.
I'm looking at my computer here, and I have the gauntlet, and I have Magneto's helmet, and I'm like, oh yeah, Magneto, Nazi hater. It's like bad guy. Again, a lot of times with mutants and versus men, also hates Nazis though, so not so bad. Not so bad.
Yeah, that's why he's like such a great villain, because they're like, he hates Nazis. I get it. Brad Pitt will star in Quentin Tarantino's final film. Now, we don't know if he's actually the star. Like, everyone that reported this is like, he's starring in Quentin Tarantino's final film, but he might not be the main character. So it might be another situation like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just wanted to bring this up to say, why does this have to be Tarantino's final film? Does anybody want to tell this guy you don't have to make 10 films? There's not like a cap on how many movies you're allowed to make. No, he wants to have like 10 great movies, retire while I'm still. No, just keep making movies, dude. I don't care if you make a mid Tarantino movie. I feel like if you made a movie half as good as a normal Tarantino movie, I would still be like, this is awesome. So I want him to fucking make movies like Spielberg, where it's like, I don't think Spielberg will ever stop.
Now, Tarantino is someone I have.
You've heard of this guy.
And so I've heard of him, and I like him. Now this thing, I haven't seen every Tarantino movie. That's the one thing that like I should have on a to-do list is just finish the ones that I.
What are the ones you've missed out on?
Let's see. I didn't see
Jackie
Hateful
Brown.
Eight.
Oh, I didn't. That's the only one I haven't seen.
I wanted to see that. Didn't they have like a weird movie theater experience where it's like you go or like,
it's like an intermission.
Yeah. I was excited about that.
Jackie Brown, you've seen?
I saw Jackie Brown. I like Jackie Brown. There was one more that I've seen. Pulp Fiction dating back. I've seen Reservoir Dogs. I love True Romance, which he wrote. You know what? This is going to be crazy. I think I've never seen continuous the entire Kill Bills from start to finish each of them. So that I guess would be on there as well. And then there's definitely one more that I'm missing that is like I think a big one. So I saw Django, love Django. I also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you mentioned that. I didn't love it. Like I went into, but people say if you watch it again, you'll like it more. When you watch it on your 10th time, it's the greatest cinematic experience
I hate
ever.
To be that guy, but I do agree. Like the more you watch it, the better it gets. It really, it is that kind of movie for me.
And I truly, truly love that. And there's movies I think are like that I've watched. I just don't think I can watch the same movie 10 times. I'm still catching up. I get cheat for not watching like the entire X-Men or Star Wars animated fucking shows and stuff like that. I can't just watch the same movie 10 different times. So, but it does everything we love about Tarantino, everything in that man's brain and whatever, like the core of it is things like I can only make 10 movies. That's just how he is. So
can you do TV next? Can you just move to TV then? Make a Tarantino television show, like let him do a season of Fargo.
Can he write? Yeah. Oh, yes.
I just finished the first season, by the way. Loved it. First season was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, Billy Bob.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk. Key and Peele.
Keep giving it to me, Bob. Give me the fucking whole IMDb.
They were great.
Honestly, I've become very muddled in my Fargo seasons. I forgot what happened when.
Colin Hanks was in it too. Colin Hanks was awesome.
Fargo is. I wanted to blog this the other day, but I couldn't think of how to do it with just a splashy headline. I think it's the best show. It was the best show that was currently on TV at that time, airing new episodes. Now it's obviously over, and I think everyone, if you like the movie, definitely. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Because and then there's tie-ins with the movie, then the seasons tie together a lot of times. That's another good Reddit show. So I'm very happy to hear. I know our boy Trent is a big Fargo guy as well. And again,
I didn't know that.
Trent is like a dog. And I mean this in the nicest way. That came out of my mouth. Trent is a snatch guy, and Trent is like a dog. Like if he likes something, like if he doesn't like something, there's a problem. Right? It's like if a dog senses he's evil, Trent can sense bad things. And if Trent's a Fargo guy, like that's the biggest compliment I could give a series.
And then my final 3 stories, I really don't have much to add on them, but I thought they were worth bringing up on the basement. Beetlejuice 2, the title is Beetlejuice. Very clever. I love a punny title. And we're probably getting a Super Bowl trailer for it. So, get excited for that.
I love that is the title. I didn't know that was the title until you sent this over. And I think I've told you in the past, my wife's favorite movie is Beetlejuice. So this is big news in the Clem household right now.
And then we've got 28 years later, greenlit. This would be the 3rd movie in the trilogy. They did 28 days later, Danny Boyle movie, Cillian Murphy. Then 28 weeks later, and now they're skipping years. And Kevin Smith said this, but I agree. Why are we skipping over 28 months later and then doing 28 years later when it's actually been 28 years since the first movie? Right now, it's been like 20 years since the first movie, and they're doing 28 years later. I'm down for it. It's some of them. The first one's one of the best zombie movies ever. And I know people gave Ken Jack shit for saying that because it's like, it's not technically zombies. It's a fucking zombie movie. It's like The Last of Us. Okay. The second one was okay. I'm excited for a 3rd one because Danny Boyle's back, friend of the basement. Actually has been a guest in the basement before. One of the most absurd things ever. But yeah, I don't know why they're waiting for 28 years later. Why they're not waiting, rather.
So when you told me this, I didn't realize. I knew the days, I knew the weeks. I didn't think that they skipped months. I was like, you know what? Title alone, I'm in. I'm out now. I'm out. You
Like,
can't
skip
skip months.
months.
You can't skip months. Hey, make months 10 minutes short on your whatever streaming you have a contract with. And then you make
it a comic book. You don't even have to make it we need months. We need months.
Months. God damn it. They fucking bungled that so bad. And listen, I have no history with this franchise. I do not do zombie movies or whatever you want to call non-zombie movies, semantics bullshit. Last of Us is not a zombie movie, by the way. It's a fungus movie. You don't want to piss those people off as well. I love that shit. I'm going to say this one has a lot more of the undead walking around and killing people, right? Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah.
So as someone that does not enjoy that kind of content, I have no skin in the game. But I will not talk about this movie again in the basement unless they do a month first.
There we go. And my final item next week, Mark Ruffalo, the Incredible Hulk himself, will receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, I know a big part of this is like they keep the star in good condition and shit, but if you're going to have any star be smashed, it's got to be the Hulk smash one. Like, imagine a Mark Ruffalo star that looked like a crater on the fucking Hollywood Walk of Fame. I think they should make these a little more fun.
That would be when you there's two very different experiences. The Hollywood star that you see them take the picture in front of and all the glamour with everything. And then when you actually see the stars, you're walking in and it smells like shit because there's a homeless guy passed out 30 inches away, that kind of stuff. So let's have some fun with it. And honestly,
make it green.
Yes. Oh man, if they started customizing the stars, that would be sweet.
It'd be so cool.
And if someone actually does smash the star, I know we're gonna put a video of it on the social accounts. I know I'm gonna blog it, and it's gonna be a moment. So I'm not telling people to go out and smash Mark Ruffalo's star, but I'm just saying if you do it. That's an easy way to get on Barstool. A very easy way. Just make sure you record it horizontal, preferably, so we can see everything.
Or no, vertical for YouTube Shorts. I think that's better for the algorithm now for TikTok. Yep.
The world we live in now.
The algorithm, the fucking algorithm. You know what Mark Ruffalo needs next is they need to make that Ben and Jerry's Hulk flavor. Make that a reality.
Oh man, how Ben and Jerry's hasn't done that too? And Mark Ruffalo,
hunk of burning fudge, right?
I'm gonna say that. Yes, hunk of burning. I'm going to just say, I know the Ben and Jerry don't have as much of a hand in the company as they used to. I think they sold to Unilever, and it's a big corporate thing. I'm going to say Mark's political views line up very much with the two guys from Vermont's political views. Yeah. I'm shocked he hasn't. And I would imagine at least one of them watched Endgame. So,
probably. I mean, it was the biggest movie ever.
A Hulk movie, a Hulk ice cream flavor out there. So, shout out Mark Ruffalo. Big W for the boys.
Shout out Mark Ruffalo.
I have to ask you this because you said that we're talking about the movies now. You saw the Many Saints of Newark? Is that what it's called?
That's right. Yeah, it is called the Many Saints of Newark.
Spoilers. We'll touch on spoilers. So if you haven't seen it or you don't, a
couple years old now. Yeah. It's the Sopranos prequel movie. Everyone told me as I was watching the Sopranos, enjoy it. Don't even bother with the movie. They're like, don't watch the movie. It'll just hinder your enjoyment of the show. It's so bad. It's unwatchable. It almost made me want to watch it more. The more people said, you cannot even, don't even press play. I was like, well, now I got to see what it's like. Me and my girlfriend are both curious. We watched it maybe 2 nights ago. Did I think it was offensively bad? For the most part, no. There were certain things in it where I was like, Sil was just, I said, not my Silvio. The fact that they fucked up the ages too. Sil was way older. My girlfriend was like, I'm not believing that's Sil. That's his dad. Just in my mind, that's his dad.
Yeah.
Corrado, I thought was okay. Junior was all right. Livia, Vera Farmiga's Livia was awesome. She was the only person in the movie that didn't feel like they were just doing an impression of the character on the show. She was just like Livia, a young Livia. She was great. But it was, I think the marketing failed it more than anything. It was supposed to be a young Tony Soprano movie, and who made Tony Soprano. And it was you never once got to see Dickie and Tony work together. Dickie gives him speakers at one point. Also, spoilers. Junior being the one to kill Dickie over nothing, over just he laughed at him when he fell. I hated that. But there was a story there that was definitely interesting and probably worth telling. Probably would have been better as a miniseries though, because the Newark race riot stuff was cool with Leslie Odom Jr. I liked his character, and I liked the back and forth between him and Dickie, the little war, but they just never fleshed any of it out. It was like they wanted to make the race riot Newark movie and had to force Soprano scenes in there because HBO was like, we got to make some money on this David Chase. So for me, more than anything, it was like a frustrating watch because it was like I saw a little bit of what could have been, and I think it could have been good, but they fumbled it for me. I said the movie never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
That's a good review. I like that. No, I mean, I think you hit on it. I like it was like perfect fan service. Like that. Now
There's a couple moments, yeah, where I enjoyed some fan service. Yeah,
they were shoveling that. That was more egregious than any of the Ghostbusters stuff.
Yeah, the young Tony scene where you see like a blonde next to him and he's like, "Hey, Carmela." Like, all right. I guess, yeah, all right.
I thought the Junior stuff, that Junior twist would have hit a lot more if like he was like that in the show where he was really, and I mean he does kind of fuck over people from the back and all that stuff. I called it the Olive Garden of movies, where if you have a nice Sunday sauce, a gravy, as you would say in Jersey, you have that. That's the Sopranos. And if you just want something that's kind of like it and it makes you think of it, that's what the Many Saints of Newark is.
I didn't regret watching it afterwards. It didn't hinder my enjoyment of the show. I wasn't like, I can't believe they fucking did that. I was just like, all right, it wasn't great, but it also like kept us entertained the whole runtime. I wasn't bored at any point. I liked that Christopher was the narrator. I know a lot of people don't like that. I talked to Clem about it, but I thought the opening scene was actually like one of the coolest parts of the movie when they're zooming in on Christopher's grave and he's talking from hell. I was like, this is kind of fucking metal. I kind of dug that. I heard that they cut Edie out of the movie. I heard that they filmed a scene with Edie Falco, like crying over Tony's grave, and they didn't air it, which I would love to see as a deleted scene one day, just to see Edie Falco back as Carmela 20 years afterwards. That I'm shocked that we haven't seen it as a deleted scene.
That would have been great. I had no idea that was.
I guess it could confirm, if you see the year on Tony's grave, it could confirm the finale or what. Like maybe they wanted to keep that ambiguous or something, but. Yeah, Many Saints of Newark, I think on my Letterboxd I give it 2 stars. So I wasn't like, this is a 0%. It was a 40% for me.
I think I said at the time, I enjoyed it. I had fun. I don't know how I'd feel if I rewatched it, a few years later.
Yeah, I wouldn't rewatch it. Yeah. Like I don't think I'll ever go back to it.
And I'm shocked that David Chase, like the criticisms everyone had, I feel like it's David Chase's worst nightmare. Where definitely. It's like
he ended on such a good note, and then well, I guess people didn't love the finale at the time, but whatever.
We're gonna get you into The Wire, Bob, and trust me, I mean, they're never gonna make a Wire movie. I can tell you that David Simon will kill himself before he allows a Wire movie to be made. I think so, and everyone's so goddamn old now, probably. So, so I guess Ball's scale is 2 out of 5.
Yeah,
2 out of 5. That's fair.
Which it's not the worst score. If you're a Sopranos fan, I do think it's worth watching. I disagree with the people that are like, it's not even worth watching. It's worth watching just to be like, I don't know, this is what David Chase thought Dickie Moltisanti's life was like. The guy who played Dickie was pretty good too. I thought John Berthenol was Johnny Soprano. I liked, wasn't in the movie a ton, but some of the casting was all right. Some of it was like the Paulie Walnuts casting. Ooh, that was so bad. When he showed up on screen, he's like painting his nails in the first scene. Someone's like, hey, Paulie, what's going on? And my girlfriend was like, oh, it's Paulie. I was like, no, that's not Paulie. It's got to be a different Paulie. Like, I genuinely didn't believe it could have been him. Joey Diaz was in the movie, though. I like Joey Diaz being in there. He made me giggle a couple times.
It kind of just makes me want, like, hearing you talk about this movie and then obviously The Sopranos makes you want to go back and like rewatch The Sopranos. Like, just for all the Paulie stuff, all the side characters, as much as Tony and everyone else involved. Man, there's so
everyone should rewatch The Sopranos or watch it for the first time if they've never seen it, because I finished it a couple of weeks ago and it's still on the forefront of my brain every day. I'm thinking about The Sopranos, how good that show was. Thank you for tuning in this week on Rumble, YouTube, the podcast feed, wherever you're watching or listening to this. We appreciate you, and come back next week for a recap and review of X3 The Last Stand, an underrated movie in my opinion. We'll see if that still holds true next week.